Emeka had always been a simple man, living a quiet life in the village of Umudike. At 25 years old, he had no family left. His parents had died when he was just a boy, and he had been raised by the village. The people were kind, but Emeka often felt alone, as if something was missing from his life. He worked hard as a farmer, tending to his crops and helping his fellow villagers whenever he could. Yet, deep down, he yearned for something more. One fateful day, everything changed. Emeka was summoned by Ens, the village elder, to take part in the annual masquerade, a sacred tradition that honored the spirits of their ancestors. Each year, a young man was chosen to wear the ceremonial mask and dance before the village, invoking the blessings of the spirits. Emeka had never imagined that he would be chosen, but Ens looked at him with a knowing smile. "The spirits have chosen you, Emeka," he said softly. "Your journey is about to begin." The night of the masquerade arrived, and Emeka stood before the shrine, nervous but determined. The mask was placed on his face, and as soon as he touched his skin, he felt a surge of energy rush through him. The drums began to beat, and Emeka moved with a grace he had never known. The spirits were with him, guiding his every step. As the dance ended, Emeka collapsed to the ground, overwhelmed by the power of the mask. When Emeka awoke, he was no longer in the village. He found himself in a dense forest, the air thick with the scent of earth and leaves. Confused and disoriented, he stood up and looked around. "Where am I?" he muttered to himself. Suddenly, a voice echoed in his mind. "You have been chosen, Emeka," the voice said. "Your journey begins now." Emeka wandered through the forest, unsure of where he was going. The trees loomed overhead, their branches casting eerie shadows on the ground. As he walked, he felt the presence of the spirits guiding him, though he couldn't see them. Hours passed, and just as Emeka was beginning to lose hope, he stumbled upon a small clearing. In the center of the clearing stood a figure, a young boy no older than 10. "Who are you?" Emeka asked, his voice shaky. The boy smiled. "My name is Chidi," he said. "I have been sent by the spirits to guide you." With Chidi as his companion, Emeka continued his journey through the forest. The boy was wise beyond his years, offering Emeka advice and comfort as they traveled. Along the way, Emeka encountered many challenges: wild animals, treacherous terrain, and mysterious figures that seemed to appear and disappear without warning. But no matter how difficult things became, Chidi was always there to reassure him. One night, as they sat by the fire, Chidi told Emeka of a hidden treasure deep within the forest. "The spirits have entrusted you with a great task," Chidi said. "You must find this treasure and protect it. But remember, the treasure is not what it seems." The next day, Emeka and Chidi continued their journey, searching for the hidden treasure. The forest grew darker and more dangerous as they pressed on, but Emeka's determination never wavered. He knew that the spirits had chosen him for a reason, and he was determined to see his task through. Finally, after what felt like weeks of searching, they found it, a small, unassuming cave hidden beneath a large tree. Emeka and Chidi entered cautiously, the air inside cool and damp. At the back of the cave, they found a stone chest, covered in ancient symbols. Emeka hesitated, unsure of what to do. But Chidi nodded encouragingly. "Open it," he whispered. Emeka placed his hands on the chest and slowly lifted the lid. Inside, he found not gold or jewels, but a single, small mask, similar to the one he had worn during the masquerade, but different. This mask was intricately carved, and Emeka could feel its power radiating from it. "This is the treasure?" Emeka asked, puzzled. Chidi nodded. "It is more valuable than you know. This mask holds the power of the ancestors. It will guide you, but only if you wear it with a pure heart." Emeka took the mask and placed it carefully in his satchel. He knew that his journey was far from over. With the mask in his possession, Emeka felt a renewed sense of purpose. He and Chidi left the cave and continued their journey, though the path ahead remained uncertain. As they traveled, Emeka began to notice changes in himself. He felt stronger, more confident, and more connected to the spirits than ever before. One day, as they were walking through a dense thicket, Emeka heard a soft voice calling his name. He stopped in his tracks, looking around. "Did you hear that?" he asked Chidi. The boy nodded, his expression serious. "Follow the voice," Chidi said. Emeka followed the sound, which led him to a small clearing. There, sitting by a riverbank, was a young woman. She was beautiful, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. Emeka approached her cautiously. "Who are you?" he asked. The woman looked up at him and smiled. "My name is Nkem," she said. "I have been waiting for you." Emeka was taken aback. "How do you know who I am?" he asked. Nkem stood up and walked toward him. "The spirits told me of your coming," she said softly. "They told me that you are on a great journey, and that you would need my help." Over the next few days, Emeka and Nkem grew close. She taught him many things about the forest, the spirits, and the true meaning of the treasure he carried. "The mask is not just a symbol of power," Nkem explained one evening as they sat by the fire. "It is a reminder of the values the spirits hold dear: love, kindness, and humility. These are worth more than any gold or riches." Emeka listened intently, realizing that his journey was not just about finding a treasure, but about understanding what truly mattered in life. As the days turned into weeks, Emeka found himself falling in love with Nkem. Her kindness and wisdom touched his heart in ways he had never experienced before. But as much as he wanted to stay with her, he knew that his journey was not yet complete. "I must return to the village," Emeka said one morning, his voice heavy with regret. Nkem nodded, understanding. "The village needs you," she said softly. "But remember, Emeka, the lessons you have learned here. Carry them with you always." With a heavy heart, Emeka said goodbye to Nkem and set off on the path back to Umudike. Chidi walked beside him, offering silent support as they made their way through the forest. Emeka's mind was filled with thoughts of Nkem and the treasure he carried, but he knew that his people needed him. When Emeka finally returned to Umudike, the village was in disarray. The crops had failed, and the people were growing desperate. Hence, the village elder greeted Emeka with a solemn expression. "The spirits have sent you back to us in our time of need," and said. "What have you learned on your journey?" Emeka told Ens and the other villagers of his journey, of the mask, the treasure, and the lessons he had learned from the spirits. He spoke of Nkem and the importance of love and kindness. "The true treasure," Emeka said, "is not the mask itself, but the values it represents." The villagers listened intently, and slowly, hope began to return to Umudike. With Emeka's guidance, they worked together to rebuild the village, sharing their resources and helping one another in ways they never had before. As the village began to prosper once more, Emeka felt a deep sense of peace. He knew that his journey had been a success, not because of the treasure he had found, but because of the lessons he had learned along the way. But Emeka's story was far from over. One night, as he slept, he had a vision. The spirits appeared to him, their voices soft but clear. "There is still more for you to do, Emeka," they said. "The journey of the mask is not yet complete." The next morning, Emeka awoke with a sense of purpose. He knew that the spirits were calling him to a new task, though he did not yet know what it was. As Emeka pondered his next steps, the village continued to thrive. The people had embraced the values he had brought back from his journey, and they lived in harmony with one another. But there were still challenges ahead: droughts, conflicts, and outside threats that would test the strength of the village. One day, a group of strangers arrived at the village, claiming to be traders from a distant land. They offered the villagers goods and supplies in exchange for their crops, but Emeka sensed that something was off. He approached Ends with his concerns. "We must be careful," Emeka warned. "These men do not seem trustworthy." Ends nodded, trusting Emeka's instinct. "We will be cautious," he said. As the days went on, Emeka's suspicions were confirmed. The strangers were not traders at all, but bandits seeking to exploit the village. They planned to take the villagers' crops and disappear into the night, leaving Umudike with nothing. Emeka and the other villagers acted quickly, driving the bandits away before they could carry out their plan. The village was saved, but Emeka knew that this would not be the last time they would face such a threat. With each passing day, Emeka grew more confident in his role as a leader. He continued to guide the village, helping them through difficult times and celebrating their successes. But despite his growing influence, Emeka never lost sight of the values that had guided him on his journey: love, kindness, and humility. As the years passed, Emeka began to think more and more about his future. He had accomplished so much, but he knew that there was still more for him to do. One night, as he sat by the fire, he felt a familiar presence. The spirits had returned. "You have done well, Emeka," the spirit said. "But your journey is far from over. There is one final task you must complete." Emeka listened intently, knowing that the spirit's words were not to be taken lightly. The next morning, he gathered the village elders and told them of his vision. "The spirits have called me to a new task," Emeka said. "I must leave the village once more." The elders were saddened by Emeka's decision, but they understood. "You have always followed the path of the spirits," Ends said. "We will support you in whatever you must do." With the village's blessing, Emeka set off on his final journey. He did not know where the path would lead, but he trusted that the spirits would guide him as they always had. Emeka traveled for many days, walking through forests, crossing rivers, and climbing mountains. Along the way, he encountered many people, some kind, others not, but he always remembered the lessons he had learned from Kem and the spirits. Love, kindness, and humility would see him through, no matter what challenges lay ahead. Finally, after many weeks of travel, Emeka found himself standing at the edge of a great canyon. The air was thick with the presence of the spirits, and Emeka knew that he had reached the end of his journey. As he stood there, the spirits spoke to him once more. "You have fulfilled your purpose, Emeka," they said. "You have guided your people, protected the treasure, and lived with honor and humility. Now, it is time for you to rest." Emeka felt a sense of peace wash over him. He knew that his journey was complete, and that he had done everything the spirits had asked of him. With a final breath, Emeka closed his eyes and allowed the spirits to take him, knowing that he would forever be remembered as a hero in the village of Umudike. The village of Umudike mourned Emeka's passing, but they also celebrated his life and the legacy he had left behind. The lessons he had taught them, love, kindness, and humility, continued to guide them in their daily lives. Years passed, and the village continued to thrive. The people remembered Emeka not just as a leader, but as a symbol of the values that had brought them together. And though Emeka was gone, his spirit remained with them, watching over the village and guiding them from the other side. In the end, Emeka's story teaches us the enduring power of love, kindness, and humility. These values transcend time and circumstance, shaping lives and communities for the better. As Emeka did, we all have the ability to lead with compassion, seek understanding, and make the world a better place, one act of kindness at a time. If this story has inspired you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with your friends and family, and let Emeka's journey remind us all of the importance of staying true to the values that truly matter. Subscribe to our channel for more stories of hope, wisdom, and adventure. Let's continue this journey together.